Yep, there we are.
Are we?
Yeah.
Here we are. Get my stuff set up here. Beautiful. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. Aloha, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. And welcome to Mel and Charlie live on Facebook. And it's Monday, the 15th. Wow, it's already the 15th. And we like to say aloha to all of you. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Monday. We would like to say as well that some people feel hurt that we didn't announce that we'd be shifting to 3 nights a week. Okay, again, we're letting you know now that we have shifted to Monday, Wednesday, and Feel Good Fridays of each week. Okay, and someone asked me today, "Oh, how come you guys, you know, just come on every night and just talk about any kind?" I said, yeah, but
Look at the comments. They miss us, Charlie. Mila says, we miss you guys.
yeah, I miss
Share.
you too. Yes, please share. But like anything else, we're starting to focus on some of the topics that are besieging us, whether we live in the state, out of the state, or just in our respective counties. We want to bring you the most updated discussions. And there's still a lot of things with COVID, but one thing I did want to touch on tonight with all of you is that I personally feel, we have to take our precautionary measures. I'm not saying that we be complacent or relax, but I think that there are some different areas that we can look at and why is it that our numbers have been dramatically different from the rest of the United States. And there's some experts that say that there is another large surge coming. It's just that we don't know when. But so far we've been kind of under that really really bad wire. But again, we have spring break. Spring break is amongst us. You've seen a lot of the people on the news tonight at Waikiki. So that's a telltale sign. But one thing we can attribute to maybe why our numbers are down is, one, we have the vaccines. Two, everybody is listening about mask wearing as much as possible. Okay, they're avoiding a lot of indoor activities because that's just how the rules have been. So everybody's been following that. The third possibility, or they call it the reasons why it may be not as high as the mainland, is because those haven't been traveling to Hawaii. But again, today was one of those big days when we have the spike in travel, right? We got a lot of people coming to Hawaii. So the fourth reason is that we just have to wait and see. Now, I wish the state would kind of be a little bit more honest and let us know that, first of all, our hospitals are, some are at, I believe it's Mar Memorial. I read they're at about what, 96% capacity. And I'm not saying that it's all COVID. It's a slew of other illnesses that's causing patients to go in and be hospitalized. Okay, the rest of the hospitals around the state is running above 50%, maybe 60%. That still yet leaves a window of 40% that we have to be careful. So with that said, that's what I wanted to cover. That's what I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think, right now, Charlie, as we spoke a little bit earlier today,
Yeah.
we've pretty much, and when I say we, I talk about all of us, all of this
Mhm.
ohana that has been created with this show.
Mhm.
We've done everything humanly possible to the extent of our ability. Raising
Right.
awareness is really, we always said we inform and educate. We've done that to the moon and back. And it was always our plan to transition into current events, local events, whatever was happening in this state. And by the way, to all of you on the mainland, I know the time change went back. So our good friend in Texas is
Roland.
now, yeah, Roland is back to 5 hours ahead, and East Coast is 6 hours. So I appreciate you guys staying up late. But it was always our intent to transition out of COVID. Never in our wildest imaginations did we think we would be on talking about COVID after a year. But the reason we went to 3 days was we were talking about the same thing. And yeah, we get the little humor. Charlie cracks out his Snicker bars and he tells his jokes, and it's so much fun. I enjoy it. I tell you, I miss it too. But we also didn't want to ruin a good thing by overkill and by repeating ourselves. So I apologize, but we felt it was best for everyone involved if we cut back should the need arise. Like Charlie said, we're working on some special shows right now that waiting on Dr. Akhtar, Murtaza Akhtar. We're waiting for his schedule to open. Whenever he can come, we're gonna, whether it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever, we're gonna accommodate his schedule. So the windows are always open, but we just felt that we wanted to keep the content quality and not just quantity. So it was a decision that Charlie and I made, and we apologize to those that miss us. I miss you guys too. We do. We really do. Charlie, don't you feel like that? Like on Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekend, it's like there's something missing, you know?
Well, I think we need to find something to do because I found myself, it's not often that I'll go outside, um, and try to make friends. So I ended up talking to the telephone pole all weekend. And I
You
felt
know
like
your telephone pole, Charlie.
yeah, I
I
felt like
just
I was
found
repeating myself.
out, I found out today. You know your telephone pole outside your house.
It's related to your telephone pole by your house.
Yes, I just found that out today, bro. What a small world. What a small world. He was telling me that his cousin is the telephone pole that's outside your house. What a
I had this one guy told me, go, hey brother, I was talking to the telephone pole. So, since I was talking to the telephone pole, brother felt pretty good that he can talk to me because, he kind of a little bit like, Star Wars. He was a little bit out there. So he told me, he says, hey, bro, uh, I wonder how tall the telephone pole. I said, well, easy. He says, hey, how you would measure the telephone pole? So I told him, easy. Just go over there, cut them down, lie them down, and they take the tape rule and measure them. He said, bro, I don't like measure how long. I like measure how tall the telephone pole.
That's it, bro. That was.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I need to apologize because Stephanie sent me an email today about an event that's happening, and she asked me to share it tonight, and I forgot to print the flyer out, Charlie. Do you have information on that?
Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow. I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Tomorrow.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Tomorrow. Again, we still have lots of families that are still struggling with making ends meet, getting food to the table for their family. So we are so blessed, and over this year we have made relationships with many. You can call them silent philanthropists that have given so much. And so they came to the call again. Stephanie went out and put out the call. So tomorrow, Tuesday, the 16th, between 10 and 11:30 a.m., not p.m. now. If it was p.m., then, um, well, we know that how that turns out. Between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., there will be a food drive at the Waimea Canyon Middle School. This is on the island of Kauai on the west side. But if anybody can make it over, it's not only for the west side people, it's for anyone that can make it over. And if you need some food, we've got help coming from all angles and fresh produce and so forth. And that's what I've been doing. I've been picking up, I want to say thank you to KIUC, our uh, public cooperative utility company, donating the bags that we'll be putting everything into it so we can make it easier to pass it into the cars. I want to say thank you to KIUC. And we got many different organizations. Too much to mention them all because I know I'll miss somebody, but I just want to say thank you to all. And that's tomorrow tomorrow at 10 a.m. Waimea Canyon Middle School parking lot. Okay. It's a drive-through. It's a drive-through. That's what's happening.
And as Stephanie just posted, for those of you that can see, it is to help the families as children are on spring break and no more school.
Yeah.
We all know some of these kids, that's the only food, their only healthy meal comes from school. So
Yes.
thank you guys for doing this, Charlie, you and Steph, and all the people that made it happen. I appreciate you guys so much. We're also working on getting Megan Wong and some of the North Shore businesses together on a show. It's getting
Oh,
people scheduled to work, to come on the show,
I,
to
I,
talk
I
about
want
how we can,
I want to
yeah,
share something. I want to share something else that transpired over the weekend. You know our good friend Juan Sainz?
yeah,
Did you hear what happened?
no,
He called my lovely wife. He asked for some help because that guy gives of himself to feed all those emergency workers that's clearing up the roadway on Cohill Highway by the Princeville Hill. But he doesn't have enough funding to keep on making free breakfasts for the workers. So we teamed up with him. We got him all his provisions, no cost to him. And we got people to deliver all the food to Juan and his food truck. He prepares it and he gives it to the workers free of charge to feed all those workers who are trying to open up the roadway so we can get Hanalei back to where it needs to be.
awesome.
So thank you, Juan.
Yes, Juan, you're the man, buddy. And we're gonna try to get them on Wednesday night, so we can share how we can all help those unfortunate families and businesses out there on the North Shore because of the landslide. Man, I tell you, it's just one after another. So we're working on getting that for Wednesday, as well as Dr. Pang and other doctors and medical professionals out there in Maui who's going to come on to discuss the. Oh, hold on now, Peter. He wants the link to his computer. Anyway, the pre-departure testing. We want to get the pre-departure testing. Hopefully, get that started here on Kauai. But anyway, again, it's getting schedules together for all of these busy people. Again, we will accommodate their schedules, so don't be surprised we pop up with a different
We may
show.
pop, yeah, we may pop up on a Tuesday, a Thursday, but we keeping tight to our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if we have extra guests that come on and we to accommodate them, they can only come on say like a Thursday. Folks will announce it and we'll bring them on a Thursday and we'll be with you on a Thursday. So we should have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's I talked about it last week. I'm just back. Okay, sorry about that. I had to send Peter. We're going to be talking about shoreline erosion tonight, just because it's affecting all of us on every island. So I just have to send over the link, and here's Peter Muramoto, who's an attorney who's been involved with this for a long time. But as I was saying, April 5th, we start Safe Travels on Kauai, and we will really have no opportunity unless people get sick to track cases that come into Kauai. So the pre-departure test is what we're working on, getting Dr. Pang and all of the others involved on Maui to come on our show. So stay tuned for that one as well. And that could happen at any day. As soon as we get the call, the schedule, we will move. So anyway, let me bring in Peter and we can discuss a little bit about what's going on here on Kauai.
Okay. Hey, but you gotta let him know to unmute when he comes on. There he goes. Okay, he's good. He's good to go.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there he is.
You see him or you see a black screen?
I see him. I see him.
You see me?
Charlie, are you messing with me, Charlie?
There.
There he is. All right.
I told you I see him.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you on Kauai, I think you guys all aware that erosion is having a major problem here on Kauai along the highway. If you pass Wailua, which I do every single day, several times a day, you can see Wailua by the bridge, by the beach. The erosion is creeping and creeping and creeping into the, getting very close to the bike path and to the road. We see erosion all along the Coconut Coast. And I'll let Peter explain. Our guest tonight is Peter Morimoto. He's an attorney, former county attorney. He was an attorney for council services. He was attorney with the Kauai Police Department, but now I don't know if he's retired or what, but the reason I asked Peter to come on is Peter has the history of this issue. The issue right now for the people on Kauai is that our county has introduced a resolution to condemn property right in front of Islander on the beach for the purpose of constructing a bike path, to continue the bike path, which is a wonderful thing. The bike path, don't get me wrong, it's a great thing. But Peter was very active, or it was a big part of the discussions many, many years ago, probably a decade ago now. And he's an avid user of the path as well as an avid user of the ocean. So in talking with Peter the other day, I asked him if he would be willing to come on and share his experiences. By the way, Peter, that's Charlie Iona up there. I apologize.
I know Charlie.
So that's kind of where we're at, Peter. We are here. The resolution went to the council. I did testify against it, obviously. Not because I'm against the bike path, but because I'm against any construction of any hardened services along the coast that is eroding. So appreciate you joining us tonight, sir.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. So just by way of background, I stopped surfing for about 12 years. And then 2 years ago, I started again. And I noticed that the beaches that I used to go to with my family or to go surfing, they were gone. And one day, my friend Sherwood Conan and I, we went to go surf Wailua. And when we got to the beach, we parked at that parking lot on the north end of the bridge, which is now gone. By the way, we parked there. It was probably less than a year ago. And when we got to the beach, we parked and we wanted to get down to the water. And you had to like jump down a ledge to get down to the beach, because the erosion was so bad. And we walked on the beach, and you had to crawl under ironwood trees or crawl over ironwood trees that had all fallen into the water and blocked pretty much the entire beach. And that was really alarming to me, because I could see the erosion from the highway, but I never realized how severe it was, until I actually walked on the beach. And so what I did was I started taking pictures of different beaches on the eastern coastline, starting from Wailua Golf Course and basically heading north up until the west end of Hanalei Bay. And basically I was taking pictures of beaches that were exposed to the easterly trades and easterly swells, because those beaches were the ones that seemed to be the most affected by shoreline erosion. And I'm not a geologist, but I guesstimate that we've lost acres and acres of beach, of shoreline to the ocean in the past 12 years or so. And it's getting worse. It seems to be accelerating. And my concern, I share your concern. I like you said, I'm an avid user of the bike path. If you go to the Kauai Path webpage, you'll see my family's picture, on the front page of the path. And we use a path all the time. I love it, but I have real concerns, as you do, about buying any kind of shoreline property and putting any kind of improvement on the east shoreline of Kauai, mainly because it's just eroding so fast. And I think it would be short-term investment at best. That's basically the background. I wanted to share with you guys this screen. Is that up on the screen now?
Not yet. Once you hit the share screen, and then when that second screen pops up, you click the little screen that you want to share, and then
Oh,
hit share.
okay. Okay.
By the way, people, Peter has a Facebook page, Kauai Shoreline Erosion. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Kauai Shoreline Erosion.
Kauai Shoreline Erosion. If you guys are interested and you guys want to learn, go to Kauai Shoreline Erosion, join the group, and share in the discussion, because I'm telling you, it's not just a bike path, but it's the highway, it's homes, it's and so forth. So, okay, you got it there, Peter.
Okay. So this is the state of Hawaii's. I think it's a UH webpage, and if you Google sea level rise in Hawaii, it'll take you to this webpage. It's pacios.hawaii.edu/shoreline/SLR-Hawaii. Oh, I don't know. You guys can you guys see it on the webpage?
Yep,
on the page? Yep. Anyway, okay, there it is. If you go to that link, it'll take you to this webpage, and it's an unbelievable tool. This is the satellite image of the shoreline, and how can I, let's see, if you kind of move your screen so I can get to this thing. How do I do that? Okay,
Move my
my bad, my bad. So if you go to this webpage, it has all the different base maps. You can go to grayscale, which would look like this. Digital elevation, which looks like this. I like the satellite because it shows, what's actually on the ground. And so the proposed bike path will come down Papaloa Road and then cut through these buildings and then go north here along the shoreline. Now, this tool shows you what will happen with a half foot of sea level rise, okay? And this shows you what passive flooding will be at a half foot, what the annual highway flooding will be at a half foot, and coastal erosion at a half foot. Okay, that yellow line is erosion. This green line is the current vegetation line. Okay, so as you can see, the shoreline erosion at a half foot is going to go past the current vegetation line. And keep in mind that we've already had roughly 10 inches of sea level rise since 1950, and it's going faster. So this is what the erosion would look like at 1.1 foot. And as you can see, it's getting into the buildings. This is what it looks like at 2 feet. That's a red line, okay? And the green line is a current vegetation line. So as you can see, the erosion is predicted to be fairly severe at 2 feet, at even 1.1 feet. So the state is telling us that at 1.1 foot of sea level rise, this swath here between the green vegetation line and the yellow line will be gone. It'll be eroded. So, and that's where they propose to put the bike path, right? Right here, coming down here between these buildings and then hanging, going north up towards Kapaa. Anyway, if you go to that website, play with the the numbers. It's kind of shocking. It shows you sea level rise on all of the islands, all coastlines, and we're in for some rough times going forward.
You know, and I think, you know, the county bases a lot of their decisions on antiquated studies that talk about erosion rates and sea level rise. Sea level rise, no one really knows. But I can remember, Peter, you might remember this, and I think Doug Haig even mentioned this, that when they were talking about Wailua Beach and the bike path, the studies at the time showed that the beach was accreting, meaning it was growing. And as we can see a very short time later, that's simply not true. I think you cannot use antiquated data to come up with predictions going forward now because of the changes that's occurring in the world. And whether you believe it or not, it's happening. And my concern is that we're going to invest a lot of money on a bike path that is going to not last long, as we're finding with several portions of the bike path now on Kauai. Peter, I know you used the path. It was so funny. I was at the council meeting and Councilmember DeCosta asked me one question. He said, am I an avid user of the path? And I said, no, I'm not. But I don't have to be a user of the path to understand that this is a waste of money. That if you're going to go out there and put a hardened structure on that coast that is already eroding, you're asking for trouble. And I don't have to use the path to know that. So what on the other sections, Peter, there's two more besides Wailua Beach. There's a couple more sections of the bike path right now that are in need of repair, correct?
Yeah, this is Kapa'a Ballpark. I took these photos today. And as you can see, there's some pretty severe erosion. This is from basically standing on the jetty looking south. And there used to be pavilions here. I don't know if you remember, but there were 2 pavilions on the beach. And in front of those pavilions, there was quite a bit of sand. Now, those 2 pavilions of the sand eroded, and then eventually those 2 pavilions fell into the water, and the county had to remove them. And so this area is rapidly eroding. This is part of the edge of the bike path, the northern edge of the bike path. This actually, I think, came from the flooding. And the washout is from the heavy rains. But in addition to that, this, let's see. Okay, this is on the south end of the park, or the beach adjacent to the park, looking north towards the library. And as you can see, the erosion is right up to the parking lot already. At one point, you know, the erosion was up to the parking lot, but only in like a bowl section. Now this entire section has been eroded. This whole part over here, this is new erosion. And as you can see, it's super close to the parking lot. Yeah, you can see it here, you know, and here I'm standing on the beach and looking at this car. You know, I'm not very tall, but still, that's about a 5-foot drop there. So yeah, it's happening fast. If I was the merchants in Kapa'a Town, I'd be kind of worried about the fact that, you know, there's so much land being lost in this area. Because Kapa'a Town could soon be Kapa'a Bay.
That's the fear. You know, we lost the pavilions, we lost the bathroom. There was a restroom there at Kapa'a Park as well that ended up in the ocean. I see plumbing. I'm not sure what that plumbing is from, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
That's the irrigation right there.
Well,
this look like a irrigation for water. The I guess because it looks relatively new.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
PVC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it looks like irrigation for a start. I don't know if they're gonna throw seeds there to try grow grass to try hold them in. I mean, that's the only thing I think they would do. But let me ask you something, Peter. You know, if we were to look at places like North Shore, Waimea, Sunset Beach, we've seen on the news numerous times where big wave activity, how much land is being lost. You know,
Yeah.
the property owners, they shore up. So one of the things they do before they do anything else is try to stabilize the area, put up a temporary seawall, right?
Right.
Using different methods. Why wouldn't the county first think about stabilizing this area by putting like a break, like similar to what you would find in front of the Halekulani or Sheraton Waikiki? You know, there's a walkway,
Uh-huh.
but there's like a seawall in front of there, knowing that there's a lot of wave action, right? And it erodes. They put
It,
up those walls first, and then they build. Why wouldn't the county do that if they're so adamant about building?
well, I don't know. I'm not a coastal geologist, and
Mhm.
that's way above my pay grade. All I can do is tell you what I've seen and what I've taken pictures of. One of the
Mhm.
things like about my page is I didn't want to get into arguments about climate change and whether it's happening or not. I just wanted to take the pictures and put them up on the web page so that people could become aware of what's happening.
Right.
I think as far as the seawalls, I mean, I don't. First of all, it's very detrimental to the coastal processes, and that's what really got me when Doug was on the council meeting the other day. He said the state is contemplating building a seawall um, in Wailua because of the erosion. And while at some point, and the hotel resort owners along the coconut, I call the Coconut Coast, are going to consider. But number one, seawalls are not allowed unless you get a very special permit. But once you build a seawall, let's say we saw that in Aliomanu and other places throughout the state where landowners built seawalls to protect their properties, it really messed up the adjoining properties because it affects the process. But this one concerns me because of that plumbing. I honestly don't know why they would be plumbing on the beach. I don't even think that's illegal. I gotta go look into that because that's kind of bizarre to have it right there.
Yeah,
Unless
you know,
Charlie's right, then maybe that was underground at one point. It was hidden until the erosion took away the sand, and now you can see the plumbing. I don't know what the heck that would be. There should be no plumbing by the beach.
yeah, Mel, getting back to Aliomanu, that Morgan seawall, that thing caused downshore erosion like you wouldn't believe. And um, I don't know if the two are connected, but after that wall was put in, the entire shoreline going from that seawall towards the Anahola River started to erode. And Aliomanu Road fell into the water. You remember that? Now it's only like one lane. And that whole beach, Tracy's auntie used to live over there. And we used to take the kids over there because it's like a nice, calm beach, even when the waves are rough on the outside. And so we used to take our kids over there, and it was like a nice, fairly good sized beach. But that thing is gone now. And if you go to that Kauai Shoreline erosion page, you'll see some photos of this surf spot called Bowling Alleys in Aliomanu, and another spot they call racetracks. And the beach over there, I mean, I was shocked by how much sand was lost.
You
And
know,
Well, I guess my question is, say we don't do anything. Yeah, say you don't do anything, you just let it go, and just let Mother Nature have his way. They'll get to a point. I mean, if based on what is being shown now, I mean, it'll work its way in where half of the Coconut Coast, Mel, would be unusable. And then, then everybody gonna say, well, and then, then you don't have to worry about tourism, because if they're gonna take down all the hotels over there, then don't worry about it, because that's part of the inventory for the island, right? That's gone. So don't worry about it. I mean, I don't want to take this kind of pessimistic attitude, but I'm here stuck at, let's trying to see how we can get into this problem solving mode. And right now, there is no way of solving this issue, because if you put up a seawall on one thing, you're gonna hurt another thing. And if you don't do nothing, it's gonna eat away at it, where you're probably gonna be left with nothing. So I guess the common denominator is nothing in this whole scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one,
And that is why, construction of any type of hardened structures on the coastline is not a smart idea. In fact, that area where they're planning on building the bike path is inside of the setback area. So, if you own beachfront property, oceanfront property, you got to build so far back because there's a setback. The county says, hey, you cannot build within so many feet of the shoreline. Well, this section that they want to build on is in the setback, so they would have to get a variance to do it. I mean, there's every reason not to do it. I understand there's the passionate people that want the bike path, and I do want the bike path. It just doesn't. It shouldn't be on the beach. It shouldn't be on the coast. And that's the plan. Peter, when we were talking the other day, you were talking about the difference between, like, let's say the west side. Billy talked about Pacala, he about the Pacala coastline. Why is this coastline so susceptible to the erosion? And you talked about the different types of the changes that you've noticed. And this is non-scientific, but what have you seen the changes in the last decade as it relates to the trades, the currents?
Well, what I've noticed is that the winds, and it's also, you can read up on it, that the prevailing trade winds used to be from a more northeasterly direction, but in the past, I don't know how many years, it started to go more east, and we've kind of had this kind of breakdown of the trade wind system, where they count the number of days where there's trade winds, and it's been decreasing in the last so many years. And a friend of mine who's a fisherman, he told me, hey, one of the things might be the fact that he said the currents are changing, and wind affects current, so it might be that the direction of the wind causes a different kind of current to cause different kind of sand transfer. I don't know. All I do know is that the beaches that I've seen that have experienced the most erosion are exposed to easterly trades and easterly swells. And they seem to have suffered the most erosion. And the thing about the trades too, I mean, even though they've been dying, we've been getting less and less trades, it's relentless. When there are trades, it's just nonstop waves on the east side. Anytime the wind gets, over 10, 15 miles an hour, it'll kick up a swell. Maybe not a big one, but then, when we do have like winds like we've had the past 2 days, man, that made me worried, because anytime you get strong trades, the east side gets pounded. And that's just the way it is.
Peter, you get some more pictures. If not, you can stop the share. Did you have pictures of Pono Kai and the other segments?
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Be careful, the whole world can see your pictures.
I don't care.
I know there's the sand replenishment program is one opportunity, but that's a lot of sand that you're gonna have to put up there to maintain that shoreline. Those hotel owners, that hotel owner is gonna have to really start thinking about what they're gonna do, because their buildings are not far from that shoreline, that coastline. And
Yeah.
so
So it's,
go ahead, Charlie.
No, 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 no.
this is Anini. Ooh, sorry.
And that's the county works.
County work. Anyway, that's Anini. And as you can see, there's some, this used to have sand over here too. Now that's gone. Let's see. Trying to find the ones of, oh, this is Hanalei, the west end of Hanalei where they were putting in the bridge. As you can see, it's pretty severe erosion. This used to have a big beach in front of it. You know, all this, and as you can see, the erosion is really bad. And this is the west end of Hanalei, and again, this is exposed to easterly trades and easterly swells. Oh, pig. Let's see.
That's why, you put your photo book up on the screen. Woo.
Yeah. Add them on nothing to. Oh, okay. This is that condominium just north of the Waipoli condominium. You know, the Safeway the one across from Safeway.
The Waipoli Resort.
Yeah. So this is a condominium right next to it, north of it. And as you can see, this place is eroding badly, man. This company called SeaTech is doing the work here to put in like sandbags and I don't know what else to, you know, stop the erosion.
No, that's I think that's what they're known for. That company, they fill these big bags,
Hmm.
and sometimes they've known for filling in, you know, big pukas created in levees. They'll drop it in there to shore up the levees.
So as you can see here, there's a seawall just north of that. So I don't know if this seawall is causing this part of the beach to erode, but yeah, it's the entire eastern shoreline.
Too bad.
The thing about this place too is if you notice in the background, you see that those rocks sticking up in the water. There's kind of this like a barrier along the this shoreline. It's kind of like a shelf, you know, like where Baby Beach is, and there's like that little pond. So there's like a shelf that, you know, you have that shelf, then you have the beach, and then you have, you know, grass. And I used to think that, well, maybe this would break up the waves and stop, you know, the waves from bashing into the shoreline, but apparently that hasn't been the case, you know.
I think the same can be said, you know, when the small boat harbor at Kikiola, when they backfilled with the sand and they did all of that, it had a trickling effect. In fact, when they put those new jetties at that boat harbor,
Yeah.
because that whole project caused that trickling effect to do erosion more down towards PMRF side. All
Yeah.
the beaches along there lost plenty land from the erosion because of they blamed it on the design of those jetties that was put up.
Yeah, Charlie, if you go to that Kauai Shoreline Erosion page, I put up pictures of that. You know, there's a graveyard right next to the boat
The
harbor.
boat. Yeah.
And the erosion is, you know, is creeping towards the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this picture is interesting. You see the seawall and you can see the erosion, you know, adjacent to it.
Right.
So, I mean, you can put up a seawall that will protect your property, but it might cause damage to the downstream properties. So,
Well,
Yeah,
there is no wind. there is no real right or wrong. I guess at this point, all we know is going to get a lot of more problems, right? If you do.
You know,
Yeah.
there's some new technology. I mean, not new because Honolulu uses it. The groins where they actually build these groins out in the ocean that helps circulate and move the sand around to regenerate the beaches. I mean, that's one option. These things cost money, and but at some point, these landowners going to have to, you're going to have to do it because I don't know if the state is going to allow seawalls. But how do you tell a multi-million dollar resort, sorry, brother, your resort going to be in the ocean in the next 5 years?
You know, there's an
It's gotta-
interesting, the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands at the DLNR, they are trying to push through a rule that would consolidate all the permitting for seawalls into under one agency. I think there's real problems with that, having a master agency, so to speak, run it, but I'm not an expert in that area. The one concern I do have is that submerged lands are state lands. So anything under the water, below the shoreline, that's state property. And if they want to put anything, any kind of improvement, to protect their property that encroaches onto state land, they either need to get an easement or purchase it. They can't just use it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the state can control it that way, by controlling who can and cannot put improvements below the shoreline.
Is there any way you can make your screen full screen for that? On that picture you have up there right now.
Like that.
Yeah. That's the, what is really interesting is that, and I didn't know this. I mean, I know that the red line that's going from Wailuakai Street towards the beach, the perpendicular access. I know that the people use that right now. I didn't realize it was already a county easement. In fact, according to Doug, who's in charge of this project, he said that we already own that easement. We just want to make it wider so they can build a bike path. Right now, it's too small. It's not wide enough to build a bike path. So they gotta buy more of the easement so they can drop the bike path. I mean, he has every intent, which was quite shocking, to go ahead and build this bike path. What was even more troubling was that, I mean, while some of the council members voiced their concern, I don't know if there's enough votes to stop it. And that's kind of why I wanted it on, to have the public reach out to your council members and let them know. The erosion, you cannot legislate erosion. It's going to happen. Mother Nature is a tough wahine, and nobody's going to beat her. And this is quite scary. And as you can see by the chart that Peter put up, and everything is estimates because no one knows what the ocean and the currents are going to do in the next 5 years. But that's quite scary to look at the potential risk and knowing, like we already know. It's like there's 3 segments of the bike path now. There's of course the Wailua Beach, there's the Pono Kai, and there's another segment that's already being undermined by the water that we gotta fix. To even consider doing another one, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
well, appreciate you taking some time and spending with us. Charlie, any questions for Peter?
No, I am just thank you for this revelation. I mean, I know you said it's been on there, and maybe I should have, looked at it, but it's very frightening to see what is the possibilities. I'm pretty sure the Army Corps of Engineers and everybody and anybody that's involved have already gone through some models, and they've already seen the least amount of erosion and the most erosion, and what's in between, and what could be some of the pitfalls faced. And it's so I think right now maybe the county should hold off on making a bike path to find out, what their feelings are on how this thing is gonna play out. Because jumping ahead, I think, because I don't know how the county works, but once you put on bike path and the maintenance of it, and you just continually every year going undermining and a thing break, I mean, you're just throwing money into a project that's a no-win project, right? So the
Well,
only one making out on the whole project is the contractor who got the bid.
and if we're going
You
to
know,
condemn the property, I mean, we're
Yeah.
basically buying property that may not exist in a few years. So,
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And again, we already own that easement, and I think, you know, public access is a good thing. I have no problem with buying the public access or the easement to provide public access, but the intent for this access is to build a bike path. And as Doug said, but we're gonna build it in 5-foot segments, so it's very easy to relocate if the erosion. Well, where you gonna move them to? It's not that you don't pick up the 5-foot plate of cement and move them inland because you don't own that land. So it's a bad thing. I think it's an overzealous attempt. And I appreciate what they're trying to do because this bike path won an award for what's done, and I respect that. Peter, you were there, I think, at the council, and I was not supporting any of this path along the coast. I got labeled an anti-bike path guy, and it's not even true. But everything we spoke of, from what Dr. Chip Fletcher back from the UH said back then, he said, if the county is willing to constantly fund the repairs and maintenance of the bike path on the coast, then go for it. But understand that that's going to have to happen, and there is no budget for that. It's not cheap, as you guys all know. So, again, please, if you guys can email your council members, your mayor, let them know that keep it as the sandy, grassy path. That's fine.
hey, Mel,
You don't need to put a 5 or 10-foot wide slab of concrete on a coast that's eroding.
Mel, when you're on the council in 2 years, you're going to be like the wife who's told the husband, ain't no buy that expensive TV from Costco because next year going to be obsolete.
Yeah, it's kind of how it is. It's the old. You gotta listen to the experts. It's no different than COVID, Peter. You gotta listen to the science. You gotta listen to the science, and
The laws of physics are upon us, man.
Mother Nature is more angry right now than COVID. Don't piss her off. I'd be worried if I were all these buildings right here. You saw that buildings on the screen right now. I would be sweating bullets because in the next 5 to 10 years, they could be on the water. Like Charlie said, we're not going to have a problem. Going to be called the aquarium resort.
Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to check out
Okay,
now.
Peter, thank you again, man. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Appreciate the charts and the pictures. People, don't forget Kauai Shoreline Erosion is the group. Go check it out. A lot of information on that page. I appreciate Peter. Thank you so much, buddy.
All right. Hello.
Aloha.
Gary, turn the screen.
Now we're gonna see what Peter does when he goes off the air. His camera is still on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you gotta hit the stop sharing first. There you go.
Okay.
Because if not, we're stuck.
I don't know how I can. Peter, are you on? You
You gotta stop sharing first, Peter. There we go.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
So, how was that, Charlie? Whew.
Well, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you in the predicament. Um, you know, a lot of times I always say, hey, if you're gonna put something there, they should do one census to see how much demand there is for it. And some people they put up stuff and there's no demand. Then you wonder why you get one barren piece of stretch of property that nobody has stepped foot on it in like 10 years. Well, whose idea was to build it in the first place? Or they said everybody like bikes. Okay. What if everybody don't like ride bikes? Then what you gonna do? You know, maybe what they should do is ask. I mean, it's we can be you can be places like what is that? Puerto Rico, Cancun, Mexico, have all this kind sun, sea, surf, right? We're a little different because as you can tell, we get easterly trades and the wave action and all that that's constantly pounding. And the thing is, when you get places that's a resort mecca that can afford, then yeah, easy to talk. But when you get one county now that's struggling because COVID, right? It's money is tight. You just not throw money away foolishly. That's my take on it.
And I think that's probably the position of 95, 96% of the people on Kauai and on every island is right now, as everybody's focusing on how we're going to help each other, and we're in limited funds, that why would you even be talking about? It's like the Honolulu, the state talking about building a new stadium. Why would, to me, that's insulting when you get people struggling, businesses shutting down, and they're proud to talk about a $350 million new stadium. To me, it's insulting because while I think that project is a great project if times are good, maybe the thought came pre-pandemic, and that's a wonderful thing. But now you would think that the priorities would change. You would think that we got to start focusing on taking care of our local businesses and our people, our families. This is no different. I mean, they will tell you that it's federal funds, but the federal funds only help to construct, not to repair. And one of the questions that was asked that day of Doug Haig was, how much money have we spent so far on
Mhm.
repairing this bike path and maintaining the bike path, and how much are we predicting to spend going forward? And he said he didn't have the number. Well, I think he had the number. He just doesn't want to tell the council because it would be ridiculously high in a time that people are struggling, the time when people are still dealing with potholes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's priorities. Is it a need? Is it a necessity? Or is it a want? It's a want, then it has to be put on a back burner.
Mm.
The mayor talked about on his State of the County address today. He was very clear, and that's why I want to see what his position is on this bike path. He was very clear that there is no shining projects in the next budget. It's back to basics, and this is not part of the basics. This is not. This bike path is not a priority. Putting it on an eroding shoreline is definitely, I'll say it, it's stupid. It's foolish unless they believe that the cost is is worth it. And I don't believe it is, because you can go on a Mauka route. You could take that bike path and put it inland. You still have the bike path. The families and the people like Peter and his wife and his kids use the bike path. You could still use the bike path. It just would not be on an eroding shoreline.
Or you can
Unbelievable.
you can be like me, own a bike, right? Haven't used it one day, but the thought is there. That's why I get my exercise, just by using my mind to think that I should be biking, but I didn't. I feel good after just 15 minutes of thought.
I, I think I'm gonna buy one bike. See, the reason I never buy one bike is because I know I wouldn't use them. But listening to you, I'm gonna buy
Yeah.
me one bike, Charlie.
Just buy one bike. And you know, this is what my wife says. She goes, honey, why are you buying the newest gadget for the kitchen? Okay. Couple years back, I said, you know, honey, because we from the city, we are not like the country folk here on Kauai. We from Honolulu. But everyone, I said, every house I went to, they get on generator. So she says, okay, what do you want? I said, I'll like buy a real good generator. So I buy one Honda. At the time was on the Honda 2000 was like $999. Good deal, right? But that was 4 years ago. The buggers still stay in the box. The staple's not even removed. I can take them right now, put a new price tag and sell them for more than what I bought them for. She tell me, why you buy one generator? I said, but honey, you know the peace of mind you have just knowing you get one?
Yeah.
But I don't even know if the string is still intact. Maybe over time it's going to wear out. You know, can you pull them first time, boom, broke. Ah, Paul, no can use a generator. Just a thought. Just imagine. You get on generator, no more gas. You get on generator, you plug in your cord, no more power. The thought is it connects. That's all you got to think about. Not think about the end thing. Not think about the refrigerator that's not working and your food spoiling. Just know that your refrigerator is plugged in.
Well, at least it's a Honda, though. I mean, that's a good generator. But you know what you can do, Charlie? You can like bring them my house. No tell staff. It's still yours. So you still own them, but I'll take care of them for you. That way she gonna think that you took care of it, right?
Okay, I got a better idea. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to bring them, but I don't bring them. But just knowing that you have access anytime, you're going to feel good inside. I going to feel good because it's going to be in my house.
No, but what would be funny, Charlie, is to see the look on Patsy's face when she see the generator in the garage.
Huh?
When Patsy sees the generator in the garage, just the look on her face would be worth $1 million. She
Well,
would blow a gasket. She would blow a gasket.
well, I can tell you this. My wife would blow a gasket if one day she saw the light and she says, honey, bring out the generator. We're going to need them. And I'm going to start her from the syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I'm gonna call you up and say, Charlie, this damn generator working fine. Thank you so much, Charlie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Boy, I tell you. Life, life.
The wife
Hey,
even
I heard today Josh Green wants to open up Inner Island on April 1st. I don't know if it's an April Fool's joke or he's serious about opening up. He got to understand he no more the authority because he's not the governor, but he said he wants to open up Inner Island April 1st for people that have had their vaccines and Trans-Pacific shortly afterwards. It
here's
was in the paper today, but I didn't see the governor's response. I'm dying. I want to find out. I want to know what Ige thinks.
well, let me kind of tell you something, and I'm going to ask the viewing audience if you agree with me or disagree with me. But it's again, Uncle Charlie Ona with another thought-provoking idea. Okay, it's me and my thought-provoking ideas. You know, they talk about herd immunity, right? Getting up to a certain number. So they know the number is 75, 80% the population. Right now in yesterday's news, they're saying because there's pros and cons about taking the vaccine, close to 46% of the people in this nation will not take the vaccine. If that 46, it means that the other part is 54%, right? That took the vaccine. So how do you achieve those numbers for herd immunity? With numbers like that. That's one. Two, Hawaii, unless they have somebody that's monitoring all the states across the United States, Hawaii can be at 100%. Good for Hawaii. but we're a travel destination. And we have people coming in from places that might only have 50%. And the other 50% never get vaccinated, but they still can come to Hawaii. How does those numbers equate? Then Hawaii being a transient location, you might have 80%. That's if everybody decides we ain't leaving the state of Hawaii, we're gonna stay here. Then you got the numbers to play with, right? But what if the numbers start shifting? They say, well, I got my vaccination. I'm gonna move to Las Vegas. You just took two numbers from the equation that's out of here. And you didn't, I mean, do you know if you're replacing those two numbers with somebody else that's been vaccinated? So, all these kind of things been popping up in my head. And I tell you, I got a damn headache just thinking about it. And I wish I never think about the damn thing. But that's what I was thinking about all day today. And folks, let me tell you, do not think about it. Okay. Do not think about it when you're driving, because you will get into an accident. Believe me, there's a couple close calls. The kind, that what that the deer in the headlights stare. You just looking straight ahead because this thing is just going through my head. How do we use these numbers when it starts to shifting on us, right?
Mhm.
You got to make sure that everybody, hey, stop the press. How much do we have right now? Well, we gave out 80% of the population got vaccinated. No, but how many people are there in the state of Hawaii right now? 42%. Okay. You gave out 80. That means another 38 will take the shot and say bye-bye, and they left. Now what you gonna do? That's always been my.
Yeah, that any statistic, any number is a snapshot in time, right? I mean, that's just
Mhm.
how it is, and that thing changes every day. This thing is fluid, and and that's why I think the numbers alone
Mhm.
don't tell the story. Uh, it's everything else, right? It's
Someone
like you
said it.
talked about earlier, Charlie, the hospital beds.
Mhm.
You don't hear about that. You don't hear about that. The news never pick up about the wedding on Oahu that had 750 people over the weekend. They never talk about that. Uh, we they talk a little bit about the hotel with the 150 luau participants, the tourists, that it upset everybody because you cannot have a wedding or Patsy was invited to a baby shower. They got to have 3 different showers because of the limits. To one side of the one family, the other side family, because they don't, of course, they don't like violate the rule. So it's going to be outdoors under a tent, but they're on a limit. But imagine if they said, "Hey, we go to an hotel, we can have them all. Just call them one luau, and then it's okay." And I think that is where the frustration, the inequality, the discrimination against the residents that has not stopped. In fact, it continues. With the new rules, especially on Oahu. I don't
Mhm.
get it. I don't get it. I just don't. It's what makes that hotel able or allowed to do that kinds of functions, but the local residents cannot. That's what gets me, Charlie, and that's what's very hard for me to accept.
I think the more and more as we delve into certain things. Remember, I said I said one thing when we first started off, and that is, if they come to a point where, and it's not conceding, it's well, basically it is. I made mention before that I believe we're rounding the corner. There is that light at the end of the tunnel. It seems that way, right? A noted expert did say though, sometimes you really need to understand the numbers you're looking at and what it represents. So, say for instance, you got the efficacy rates, right? So that means that one vaccine might be effective 95% of the time. That expert says you really got to understand the 5%. And what if that 5% was in your community? That's a lot, right? If you took that 5%, that would be a 5% spread just in your community alone. So while it may not affect the rest of the United States, it may affect Menahuni Road, Waimea, Kauai, if that 5% just happens to be here. So what you really got to do is you really got to look at the numbers and say, hey, logically, how do we apply it? Okay, I understand they got to collect data. I understand what the data shows. But then as long as you got, if you're in an area like South Pacific, right? You've got the Samoan culture that pretty much, in Samoa, they pretty much hunker down. They don't move, right? So you can say with some certainty that the numbers they achieve, they can reach those numbers for herd immunity because it's not going to shift as much.
Right.
Yes, I guess that's what I'm saying. We got so much shifting going on over here. I just don't know how these numbers apply, because you can give me a study provided by the University of Hawaii, but like what Peter was showing on that erosion, right? It can be broken down by feet. How much erosion? I mean, how much feet of the rise of the water, right? You can go from a half foot to a foot to a foot and a half, and it keeps on showing where that erosion line. That's what I think they should have done with COVID. That if you're looking at a number under optimal condition would hit this mark. But what if the numbers start to shift? What if the bodies are not here to absorb the numbers that you're talking about? What are we looking at? Nope, nobody has said anything.
Yeah.
So I think for the very simple-minded person, they'll probably tell me, Uncle Charlie, don't even worry about it. And you're right, because it's just so confusing. But yet, there are people like myself that out there that we want to think, where's these numbers leading us? Because I want to be sure that, hey, if you're going to go into a game, or if you're going to go into one fight in the ring, you make sure you don't get knocked out. You're going in there for do your best for trying to knock the other person out. So I really want to know, how well are we doing against this battle? And when you get one state administrator that's throwing out all this kind of like, okay, here we go. We got a new format today. Boom, throwing them out to you. That's why everybody getting confused.
Well, the one thing that I wanted to share before we cut out tonight, real quickly, is, and this is my fear. This is my fear when we open up to allow people to come in without quarantine or testing with vaccine. Right now, and this is from a very reliable, InfoSecurity is a very reputable business or company. But this is what they're finding. That right now, scammers are selling these vaccination cards for $20 online, and specifically was targeting people that didn't want to take, the anti-vaxxers. That was their target market. But what they found is that as people now can travel freely, as long as they've had the vaccine, there is a definite market for these fake cards. And that is my concern. How can we logistically have everything set up across the country, or the world for that matter, to ensure that people coming off that plane and allowed to roam freely in our communities were vaccinated? There is no way to provide 100% risk-free travel because of these types of knuckleheads out there selling these fake cards and fake records. So this is what I have not heard about. No one talks about it, but it's there. It's happening right now. And but we are prepared to move forward, and that scares me, Charlie. It scares me, man.
Well, the only way we're gonna fight this thing, okay? Have you heard of the TWIC card, the Transportation Worker Identification Card?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's like by TSA. If you work on a pier, okay, that's regulated by that's regulated by the transportation. They require you to have this transportation worker identification card. Okay. So what that means is that everybody has around the entire nation, they all have the same card and they have all embedded information on that card. So I think what's going to have to happen is everyone who's gotten vaccinated will have their information download into a database. So say for instance, if Joe Schmo comes along with his card, they probably, because each card you notice they have the lot number, the date it was given, right? If Joe Schmo going to show his name on that card, his name's supposed to already be in a database. That's the only way they're going to cross-reference to say, hey, you ain't in a database. But the thing is this, we've already seen when people get a little bit lazy, right? They don't put in all the information. Or they just miss one digit. I think throw the whole thing off, right? You got to find a foolproof way that, giving the vaccine is one thing. But you also got to make sure that the vaccine, the administering of following the record has an enforcement component to it that it can be enforced properly. And I don't think the US government is even set up for that.
No, absolutely not. Look at
No.
our passport system, the regular travel passports worldwide. And yet, how many people have fake passports? It's not 100%. And the passport system is, I mean, you have multi or international organizations, government organizations that track that. You get, in America, it's INS or ICE or whatever it's called now. Those are the guys that monitor. You have federal agencies dedicated to passports. How are you going to get that set up by April 1st or May 1st or June 1st when you're going to open up to the mainland and to the other parts of the world? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be safe. And, the only bad thing about all of this is as long as no one gets sick or clusters or breakouts don't happen, you'll never know. You will never know until it's too late. And that is my fear.
On the card, it puts down locations. And a lot of times they use acronyms like KVMH. The location, you got it. You get these guys coming in from the main, and the governor, lieutenant governor wants to open up these vaccine passports, right? And they get one like JLS. Just imagine the worker at the airport looking and goes, okay, look on the list, no more JLS. Ask the guy, hey, you took your shot at JLS. What does JLS stand for? Oh, yeah. In New York, it's called Johnny's Liquor Store. I took my shot at Johnny's Liquor Store.
That's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. I just, again, pray that our numbers stay down. Pray that we don't have any clusters. I worry about the states that are removing their mask bans. Spring break is happening all over the country. And it's going to be a mess, man. It's going to be a mess. But hopefully we can maintain our safety and protect ourselves, and we'll be all right. We will be all right.
Well, and I just hope that, we talk about multi-generational families under one roof, right? There's a lot of clusters. We just had a report, and you saw it. It was all over Facebook of that very, very large wedding in Laie on the island of Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
A very big one at that. We just hope that there's not this chain reaction that occurs. Hope everybody stays safe. But we won't know. And like you said, we won't know because we don't have this post-testing. We won't know until such time somebody is sick enough to go into the hospital to get tested. And then from there, it kicks into the DOH system. Because other than that, we won't know about it.
All we can do is maintain our own safety protocol, guys. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Avoid gatherings.
Yep.
That's all we can do. And we continue to do that every single night, every single day, and protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Any closing thoughts, Charles?
Yes, there's some questions about the vaccine cards. You know, if you're only going to take 2 shots, why would they give you a card they get maybe about 6, 7 lines on top? Uh, that's just food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me for put up my weird sense of humor. But just imagine, you only take 2 shots, but for some reason you're on card with about 6, 7 lines on top. Is it because maybe the first one they missed a shot, so they're gonna try them again until they get it right? Who knows? But hey, thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you, Charlie. I remember in the military when you go through your line in basic training, everybody bullet head, same clothes. They give you your shot record and had so many pages. I'm thinking, why? Why are there so many pages on a shot record? Well, little did I know, we fill them up every single damn deployment. Pop, pop, pop. Just shots galore. Shots galore. Anyway, thank you guys all for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the presentation from Peter and knowing what's going on your island and the other islands. You know, pay attention because these things happen without people knowing.
Yeah.
If you are concerned, make sure you let the yellow shot record from the military, Rosie, that's the one I'm talking about. I still get nightmares about that. But yeah, if you're concerned, as I am, and Peter and many of us, email your council members. Let them know how you feel. Let them know how you feel, because it's not that you don't want the bike pad. It's just you don't want them building unnecessary construction on the coast. Wednesday night, we're going to try to get our North Shore businesses on. We'll work on that and get that secured for Wednesday night. And I'm still working with some other very interesting guests coming up. So we appreciate you guys.
Brother,
Yep.
I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for bringing on Peter and talk about the bike pad. But I think a lot of people want to use a bike pad when it's along the beach, when it's on a flat surface. Because I've yet to find a lot of bikers that like to bike from lower elevations to high up on Kokee. There's some, but not many. And I'm one of those that the first 100 yards, I said, man, I'm done already. I sold my bike.
Yeah, the next bike will have an engine. That's the bike.
I
All
thought
right, everybody, we love you guys. Stay safe. God bless. Take care. See you guys on Wednesday night.
Yep.
Aloha.
a lot.